The courageous women who spoke today are supported by service providers who hold their rights and needs at the center of their work. And we have two women here today who work for women and girls every day. First, I want to introduce Angelina Nyanjima Simon Gial. She's the founder and executive director of Hope Restoration South Sudan, and she proudly calls herself a feminist and a dedicated women's rights activist. Hope Restoration is a women's rights organization founded in Unity State. It advocates for the rights of women and children, ending GBV, ending early marriage of girls, and keeping girls in school, and improving women's standard of living. The Women and Girl Friendly Center, managed by her organization, offers psychosocial support, counseling, case management, and they also document rape cases for future trials to hold perpetrators to account. Angelina has chaired the NGO Forum, the National NGO Forum, and represents national NGOs on the HCT. She recently addressed the Security Council in March 2019 on the issues of GBV in South Sudan and accountability in Bentu State. Without further ado, I pass it over to Angelina.
Well, I just have to go straight to my intervention as a service provider. My intervention reflects mostly on the testimony that all of us saw around 11 o'clock in the morning with the incident of Unity State. And it's mostly about the social stigma that is always on the side of the survivor. The testimony we had reminded me of a young woman who was raped in Lair Town during the conflicts. She's 35 years old, never received medical attention, and she also got married out of rape. Results of this, the husband abandoned her and also her family outcasted her. She was isolated with the fatherless child, left to raise the baby on her own. The child who kept asking about her father made the situation even more frustrating for this woman. Having no means to support herself and family, she is forced to live in dire conditions. She faced daily humiliations from the community and friends, and thinking of committing suicide. From our center where we operate, we had 3 cases last year of women who never got medication, never opened up to anyone, and when we trace back, they commit suicide. So she has been coming to the Women and Girls Friendly Space. We had a center that we are running. Currently, it's running on a voluntary basis, and it has over 500 women. Over 150 are survivors, because the area that we operate, due to the 2013 and 2016 conflict, was severely affected. And rape has been used in South Sudan as a weapon of war. When men fight, they end on women. She has been coming to the Women and Girls Friendly Space run by my organization. When the incident took place, she only got the program that we have in that center. Mostly, we do the psychosocial support, case management, and we also do referral pathway. The difficult part of this referral pathway, the clinics that we have do not even have health facilities, not even PEP kits. So this one makes it more difficult for the survivors to even get help. She joined also the support groups. We have the groups of women that are already the network within. So we train them on the small businesses, tea making, running restaurants, and we also make vegetable and gardening training. All this to keep them busy and also for them to earn some small income, because part of this, you get more frustrated when you don't have a single income coming in, and you have children that you have to take care of at the end of the day. This woman is still coming to the center, and she managed this year to run a small restaurant supporting her kid, but then it's still so difficult for the husband to get convinced that it's not her choice. This makes it so difficult in my country, because when you are raped, it's like you are the one who made the choice to be raped. They don't look at it like there's a perpetrator that needs to be held accountable. Now the major stigma in the community is, as I said, the traditional courts that we have, look at it like once you are raped, you have to be married off to the perpetrator. This is rewarding the criminals who are supposed to be in cell. So what happened, the traditional courts will just ask for the family to pay the bride price, And this makes it so difficult for women and girls that are raped to talk about it because you don't want to be married off, so what do? You keep it to yourself. The other difficult part is those who commit these crimes are uniformed personnel. They have guns. You're just a mere civilian. When you open up, they come for you, and they really threaten. The other thing is we have issues to do, lack of services. So inability to care and avoid pregnancy, we have lack of services in those places because sometimes it's within Juba that you can get services, but at the state, even public hospital has nothing. You cannot even get Panadols. You don't even talk about the PEP kits. We had a incident where 17 women were raped last year. All of them never got medical attentions. And 3 of those women got pregnant, others got STI, others got HIV/AIDS. It's a very difficult situation that as service providers we are going through. Then you come to comprehensive health services, which is just a nightmare. Those services are quite lacking. So sometimes it really makes us so difficult to do our work. You can try to rant as much as you can, but when you don't have other services support behind you, it becomes so vulnerable. Then when you come again to the livelihoods, the country we are in, most of the economical, we look at it like it has really collapsed. So you are not in a position to really get anything to support yourself. And this also makes it more difficult for people who are already victims of sexual violence, and then it coupled with they cannot sustain themselves, they cannot support their families, they become more burdens compared to other persons. Again, they are not in a position to also get jobs. Out of that fear, you don't want to open up, you don't want to get closer to anybody. It's so difficult and take time to really open up and build trust to who you want to talk to because our cultural norms do not even favor women to talk about issues of rapes. All the time, it's you who has the problem, the crime, you went and look for it. They don't look at it like somebody attacked you during the conflict and you need justice. Then when we come to the prosecution of the cases, this has been a nightmare. We had the practical incident of 2016 where the Terrain Hotel incident happened. Even those people till today, they have not got justice. Their files are missing. So how far will it be for those people who are in the village? It's not possible. So all this needs all our efforts. We wanted to end by saying that South Sudan is supported by the international community, the UN donors, and many others. There are many positive initiatives ongoing for prevention, protection, and accountability. We are grateful for your support. However, I'm sad to say that this support is far from sufficient. We need more support to protect women and girls of South Sudan. I urge the international community to put pressure on all parties to abide by the peace agreement, implemented it in totality, including Chapter 5, which calls for accountability for past crimes. I request the international community to support this peace process. Peace is very important to us. It is the first step toward protection of all civilians, especially the hundreds of victims of conflict-related sexual violence. There is no lasting peace without justice, and South Sudan parties have to make sure that this balanced peace is achieved. Thank you.
Give me 1 second. Thank you very much, and thank you for both of you for traveling so far. I just want to make one announcement that the translation ends right now. We thank the translation services for a very busy day and a lot of great work. So we will continue, but we are releasing the translation services. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you, Angelina, for your powerful statement and the work that you do. We're now going to turn to Moon Naili. Moon was born along the Thai border and grew up in the conflict area in northern Shan. Since 2001, she has worked with the Kachin Women's Association in Thailand to work for democracy and promoting human rights with a focus on women's human rights. In 2006, she organized a team to implement human rights documentation in Kachin to seek justice for GBV survivors. And she's trained communities on human rights documentation to support survivors of trafficking and sexual violence in conflict. Her current work focuses on Kachin women's human rights related to the conflict, the peace process, land and development, and the threat of land grabbing and eviction. She also focuses on ensuring survivors' needs and voices are heard and are an essential part of the transition and the peace process. Moon.
Thank you so much, Emily. So I'm from Kachin, which is a conflict area in northern Burma, and I will be speaking on behalf of my organization. A civil war has been going on for 70 years in Burma due to the central Burmese government failure to respect to the Panglong Agreement of 1947, which promised equality to the ethnic people of Burma. Until today, even though there has been elections, the military retained absolute power due to the 2008 constitution. They continue to attack the ethnic people and commit systematic, widespread, and human rights violations, including the use of sexual violence as a weapon of war. Since the New World War in Kachin area in 2011, over 120,000 civilians had been displaced, hundreds killed, and hundreds of women and girls raped by Burma Army, some of whom were also killed. My organization has been documented cases of sexual violence, seeking justice, and also assisting survivors. There are many challenges, and I would like to talk about some of the key challenges. Most cases of sexual violence by military troops take place in remote areas, far from any medical facilities. It is rare for survivors to receive emergency medical care or access any medical test that can prove rape. Even if they can access a hospital, the staff are too afraid to release evidence if they know that the Burma Army is involved. In the well-known case of the rape, torture, and murder of 2 Kachin volunteer teachers in 2015, where all evidence pointed to the military troops based in the village, medical staff were threatened by the military not to release evidence from the post-mortem examination. The Army Commander-in-Chief himself publicly threatened to sue anyone who accused the military of involvement in this case. Until today, there has been complete impunity for these rape murders. It is very rare for cases to be taken to court, as police do not want to accept cases involving the military. Under the Constitution, the police are under the Home Affairs Ministry, which is headed by the military. Lawyers are also afraid to take up cases against the military. Cases taken to court are always dismissed. For example, the case of Sumlut Raja, who was abducted, sexually assaulted, and killed by the Burma Army in 2011. Her family submitted her case to the Supreme Court in Naypyidaw in Burma, but it was dismissed and no justice has been served to her family. The Kachin state government also does not want to take any action against the military, even though we have appealed for their help to stop human rights violations, including sexual violence in conflict, which is rampant. This impunity for the military is ongoing. In July this year, a Kachin woman was murdered and likely sexually assaulted by Burma Army troops in the remote village in northern Shan State. But the military blocked a police investigation and threatened the village headman not to accuse their troops. My organization has set up safe houses for women survivors, including of sexual violence. We assist with medical support, counseling, and legal aid. We also provide livelihood support for survivors and their family. Unfortunately, some survivors are so traumatized that they suffer permanently mental health problems. Access to service in this remote area is a challenge, and there is very little funding available for full service provision for survivors in this hard-to-reach area. 20 years ago, there was only 20 Burma Army battalion in Kachin areas of northern Burma. Now, there are over 200 battalions. With ongoing impunity, these troops are a constant threat to women and girls. Through a genuine and meaningful peace process, we urgently need to end the conflict. Therefore, we urge the international community to stop business as usual and pressure the Burmese government to immediately stop attack and use rape as a weapon of war, withdraw its troops from ethnic areas, and begin inclusive political dialogue outside Parliament to work a new federal constitution, which will bring the military under civilian control. I would like to end by highlighting 3 points. We are the international donor to provide cross-border support to ethnic civil society groups who are addressing community needs, including providing assistance to survivors of sexual violence. We also call for a moratorium on resource extraction and large-scale infrastructure development in conflict-affected areas, as these projects fuel conflict and violation against local community. And lastly, we are the UN Security Council to end military impunity by supporting referral of the situation in Burma to the International Criminal Court. Thank you so much.